everybody. So we're getting ready to do another DIY special.
Uh-oh.
This has been something I've been putting off for a while. It's kind of a cloudy, rainy, dismal day, an easy day to just sleep in. But we need to get this done because we got some travel adventures coming up soon, and when we leave for the winter, I need to be able to get to this water heater. And so that's what we're doing. We're trying to get access to this water heater.
Yeah, I think you've put this one off as long as you possibly can.
Yeah, for good reason. It's going to be very messy. It's not going to be a hard job. It's going to be more of a messy job. There are a couple challenges with this. First, we got to get this stackable washer and dryer unit pulled out. We had some stuff up here. I went on and removed that. I'm going to have to take this door off because it won't fit. And then once I pull it out here, which isn't the hard part, it's going to stretch that cord and it's going to pull that socket off the wall because that's already happened. So,
Does this mean that one of us has to squeeze back behind there again?
I don't know. I'm going to try. We can try that, but I don't think it's going to work. I think we're just going to have to do the damage and then do the repair.
Because a year later, I don't know if I'm as flexible as I was.
I know I'm not. So I've cut the power to this so that we don't have sparks flying. Anything that gets ripped can be put back. So there might be a way too that I can unplug it from the right side using like a long tool of some sort and prying them apart. Maybe I can do it from out here. That'd be great. There's also a dryer vent hose that goes down into the floor, into the crawl space, and then out the side of the house. So we need to disconnect that too. And you can only do that if you're back there. So we're going to be fixing some of these problems. There's no access to this space. This is the stairway that goes down, so it kind of has a low roof once you get about 3 feet back. It's probably
I think I should have ate a smaller breakfast.
Yeah, so looking back there,
can't see much from up
yeah,
top.
you can't see much. This is already touching the ceiling. So if you go back about 3 feet, it's about my height. So what we're going to do, if you'll follow me, and I'm going to have to measure inside here and then measure outside here. If you follow me this way, we're going to access the door from the bedroom and come on around.
Whee!
I want to put this access door in the most inconspicuous spot as possible. So we're going to put it behind here. Now it doesn't need to be a big full-size door. It just needs to be big enough for us to be able to fit through.
You know, it's depressing.
Even ducking.
It's depressing thinking about having to cut into this pretty picture, because I tell you, I love this picture. There's so many mornings I just lay in the bed and stare at this picture like I'm there.
So my thought is, I know I hate to cut it too, but we need to get access to this. This is just sheetrock. And you're going to have studs in here. There shouldn't be any electric. Most of the electric comes through the floor. But I'm going to drill a hole and run a camera just to make sure we're not cutting anything important. But this should be just empty space. So we want to get as close to this door jamb as we can, but make sure we're far enough back to get behind the dryer. So I can do that with a tape measure. I can measure that. So once we find that point, I'm going to have to go inside and cut out. Not cut from here, because we don't want to have to cut and then damage this and then recut. So I have a special oscillating tool that will cut sheetrock, and I will go right along. If this is your 2x4, I'm going to go right along that 2x4 and cut it, and it'll cut from the inside out. Now I'm hoping not to tear this, so we'll do a couple of test cuts to see that it's. We may cut it from the inside once we've marked it from the. Cut it on this side once we've marked it from the inside. So we're going to have to play with that idea a little bit. Hopefully it'll just cut from the inside and not rip this paper. Hopefully it'll actually cut it. But we want to make this opening as small as possible. It's only something you should have to go in there maybe twice a year to drain down your water system, because my intention is when we leave for the winter, we're not running heat here. We're going to drain all the water and just leave the heat off. So I need to be able to access the water heater and run a drain line in order to drain down all the water out of the hot water tank.
And not only that, but if there was an emergency,
yeah,
you can't get to it. So you're going to be scrambling while water's going everywhere. If in fact you're even at home during that emergency, but either way, you can't access it. So then you'll have to deal with it at that moment.
So this is the best place, I think, to do a wall, a port of entry. Now, once I've cut a hole here and I'm able to, just shimmy through it, I just need the tiniest hole to get in. We may be able to take this sheetrock and reframe it and be able to do a swing door. It just depends on where the stud is and if there's enough space here. So ideally, I'd be able to swing this door open and then swing the secret door open. We'll call it a secret door. And then there'd be a secret passage to get into the secret room.
And maybe that's where my secret stash of missing socks are.
That could be where they're at.
Because every time I do laundry, I seem to be missing a sock. Yeah. There's this conspiracy here about the socks.
Yeah, something's eating the socks. And our laundry doesn't go far. It goes from here to there. So somewhere in here.
Somewhere in that secret room, I'm going to find the secret stash.
It could be a stack of socks. So first we need to get access to that room by pulling that washer and dryer out. So we're going to do that first.
Oh, I'm just enjoying this beautiful view.
I know, it's pretty. I hate to cut it.
I know. It's like the prettiest part of the picture to me, too.
Yeah, I might have to... like I said, it'll be a temporary cut, and hopefully we'll be able to put up a panel door or a swing door or something.
All right.
So we'll see.
Stay tuned.
Okay, neither one of us were able to squeeze into this, behind this machine. We tried to slide it all the way to one side. It gives you about 6 inches, but that's it. Neither one of us, it wasn't really going to be close anyway. So we did just pull the machine out, and it stretches all these lines really, as you can see.
So you can pull it out so far, and then you still have to squeeze in here, though.
Yeah, there is a squeeze. There still is a squeeze right here, but we can both get in here. But she's already in there, so what we did first was cut the water. I've already cut the power. So she's going to disconnect the power line so we can move this washing machine completely out of the way. The drain line and the two water lines, the water is off, right? Have you already turned the valves off?
Yes.
Okay. So now we can disconnect those lines here.
And I found 0 socks.
So far. The vent hose pulled off. So, yeah. Ooh, almost dropped the pliers on my toe. So, yeah, you could have some water, some residual water come out of there, but it won't be much. I'll take that, and if you can take these pliers, and if you open them all the way up, you should be able to disconnect those hoses. And that 50 amp box, you see how it pulls off the wall? That comes from stretching it. This is a 50 amp plug, so we just set that aside. And then once we get the two lines disconnected, we'll just slide this whole machine out of the way, and then we'll have free access and be able to, we're going to be going into this left wall behind her. We're going to measure down and then do a pilot hole and then put the camera in there.
Do you have a little towel?
Yeah, I'll get a towel.
There's going to be some water.
Yep. Okay, she's able to unhook those lines. There is some water that run down the wall a little bit. Put a towel down. Those lines are under pressure, so they're going to have a little bit of water. I have to find a way to hang it up high. Yeah, those lines are not very well put in. They just stubbed out PVC line. They're not anchored to the box at all. And so now with everything disconnected, we should be able to just, I can slide this. It's in the middle of the hallway here. I can just slide it to one side and we'll be able to get in there easily. And I'll get something to hold those lines up or we're going to drip more water. Okay. Well, I got good news and bad news. I don't know where to start. Bad news is we have a wire, which I wasn't expecting. I think it's coming from upstairs. But I think it's workable. So these studs are really close together. Like there's one right here that I can touch. I don't know if you can see it right there. And then there's one right here. So normally studs are 16 to 32 inches apart. These are, I don't know, about a foot apart. But I think that's because the bracing for the staircase, because there is a staircase right here. This is the sheetrock into the bedroom. So I haven't cut on that yet. And it looks like they're laid this way, which is good because there should not be a seam on this board. We're guessing. That is a guess. More good news is I'm not seeing any mold. That's good. The next stud is a little further over. I think it's a little more than a foot. And it's back here. So having taken this measurement on the other side of the wall to figure out where we are in relation to the door, because we really don't want to cut an open hole in the bedroom that's not hidden by the door. We're gonna end up going to this stud, which takes us 56 inches from the jamb, and I measured that on the inside and it just fits inside the door. So I'm going to have to cut this 2x4 out. Because they're so close together, I don't think the weight supporting of this is the biggest deal. It doesn't go to the ceiling or anything. It's not a cabin stud. It would be a staircase stud. But I think we'd be okay. We'd have to cut this. I am going to go a little higher. I'm going to go maybe to here. Up and down isn't really the big deal. You want the narrowest of space here. What we're going to do though, it's going to work out, I think. We're going to go from this inner stud all the way over to this stud. So I'm going to clean all this out. Let me see if I can back this out a little bit. I'm a little close. I'm going to bring this hole up to about here, roughly. And then I'm going to go from this stud all the way over to this stud. And then all the way to the floor. And then I'm going to take this stud out. So this wire that cuts through this 2x4, I'm going to break that free of that, and it's going to hang to the left. And I will fasten this over to that far left stud so that it's not in the way of walking through here. So a little bit of extra work here. I wasn't expecting these studs to be this close, but because of the staircase, it makes sense. So there's going to be a little bit of work to do on this, but I just kind of wanted to explain where I was. So because there was a wire here, I use an oscillating tool. It's there on the floor, but this is the tool I had on there. And when I cut, it doesn't go very deep. It just goes right across like that, and it oscillates like really fast. So this is for drywall, and it cuts, and it might have come really close to that wire, but because of its vibrating fashion and not cutting fashion, it didn't cut this wire, so we're good here. But that's why you do a test pilot hole. I did a test pilot hole here and ran the camera, and I saw something down here that I couldn't really make out. It looked like plumbing at first, but now I can see it's a wire. So that's why you do a test pilot, so now we can see what we have in here and we won't do any further damage. This wire can be pushed back. As you can see, I'm pushing on it. So when I go to cut up here, it's not going to damage anything. So we're going to make this hole bigger and then see where we're at. Okay, let me show you where we're at now. I've cleared out the opening that we're going to use. And I had to take out one stud. It's right over there. I had to cut the notch out there in order to pull the wire through. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to re-brace this whole thing because we might put in a door. So this is where I cut the stud off. I'm going to cut a notch in this and run the cable, the wire up into the notch, and then bring it over here and then just tack it off on the side here. I'm just trying to think. I'd like to get the wire all the way on the other side of this stud, but there's no real way to do that without compromising this board and having to put it back in. I'm not going to do all that. We're just going to cut a notch here and bring the cable over and then tack it to the wall, and that'll be enough space for us to walk through. It's actually wider than I thought it was going to be, but because you're taking out a stud, and I couldn't have fit between these, I could have probably fit on this one, but if you're going to take it all the way over to here, then you might as well just open it up and walk through it. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to get this up, and then I'm going to cut a 2x4 brace across here, and then toenail it in on the sides and nail it to this, and that'll kind of shore up in this casement here in case we want to put a door. But I guess the next step here is once we get this out of the way is we're going to start cutting through this wall. And I want to cut it from this side because then I have a nice square edge to run down. And it should produce a nice clean cut on the picture side of this wall. And so that's the objective.
Where's the stud?
The stud?
I thought you said something about a stud. I'm over here looking for the stud.
Hey, right here.
Oh, boy.
Hey, you got 2 studs.
Woo!
Okay, I thought I'd catch you guys up real quick. And I've cut a board in here and did the upper bracing. Couple screws in here, and then I toenailed some screws on the edge. So it will still give some support, but I mainly did it to frame it, and so I could square off and have a nice edge to trim here. I cut a notch in the wood so that the wire could come down in between, and I had 1 staple in here that I pulled out earlier. I reused it right here, and I think I got some more of those staples, and I may just pin this to the side stud there. But this gives a nice walkway. I'd say this is probably about 2 feet in width. So I can walk right through there. So the next step, I did a little cleanup. It was just a quick cleanup because it was really getting messy. Now we're going to take the oscillating tool, and all I do, this thing's really loud, so you don't want to hear this thing. But this is it. I put a tool on there for wood and sheetrock, and I did have a metal one on there so I could cut the nails off the back of the stud so I wouldn't, tear up the. And then I'll just go right along here, and I'll just go right along the edge. And I'll have Teresa on the other side to make sure I'm not ripping the paper over there and it's cutting nicely. But we'll see how that goes. But I'll be cutting it from the inside. And then this will be a nice hole. And it's not quite, it's probably 5 feet high. It comes about to about my nose in height. So you just duck under it and you come in here and you'll be right behind the dryer. So you'll be able to do any of this that you need to do. You'll be able to service this if you need to. And you'll be able to drain it down. Right here's the drain. So I'll have to hook a hose to that. And I probably won't run it through the floor because then you're just dumping water under the house. And that's not good either. So I'll probably just run this and run a hose out the front door and just drain it down when we get ready to leave for the winter. And then I'll leave it open. And then in the spring, you just make sure you close that before you turn your water on, and then it'll fill back up. And I think this is only about a 30-gallon hot water heater. It's not very big. So I would prefer to do hot water on demand. So if this thing ever goes out, I'll just put hot water on demand in here. But for now, it looks like it's fairly new. It's in good shape. It's working. I'm not going to mess with it. So we just want to get access to this room, and I think we've got a good framing going on here, so we'll cut this out and hopefully don't do too much damage to our little mural on the other side. Okay, we're in the cleanup phase of this operation here now. We're gonna we got all we can with the broom and the vacuum. Now we're gonna have to kind of do a damp mop on this stuff because this drywall is so fine. I mean, I got it all over my hands. It feels like chalk. So we're getting ready to damp mop in here. But I wanted to show you the opening. It was a little bigger than I was kind of describing when I first started, but because of where the studs fell, I possibly could have put in another stud. I would have had to move it from here maybe to here. And you might have gained maybe another foot of picture. But once again, it's all behind the door because here's the door stop. So the door will come about right here. So you won't see this when the door is hung back up. We just unhung the door for ease of working. I kind of like the way it came right to here. So the measurements were in a good spot. And, you know, you didn't want to go behind this stud because you would have been inside this wall. And I don't think that would have done you any good. And there's probably some electrical in there with these switches. Yeah, I think it turned out pretty good. Now we're just going to clean up a little bit of this and then get the dryer pushed back into the hole, and then we can continue to do some work back here. Now my original thought was here's the cutout piece, was to try to frame this and maybe put it on hinges. It would have to be hinged on this side, and then you could swing this out. You know, swing the door and then swing this out. I'm still thinking about that idea. I don't know how well it will work. And there'll be a frame here too in the picture that goes into the picture. Well, hello there.
I'm the cleaning crew.
The cleaning crew. Well, I was gonna do that.
Hey, you know what the good news is? I don't have to squeeze back out of here again. You didn't get that on film in the beginning, but
we were trying to squeeze in.
We don't have to squeeze through anymore.
Yeah.
So that's wonderful.
Yeah, and you really do need access to these things. To have this behind a wall where you can't get to it.
I can't believe they never did that way back when.
I'm not even sure. Well, it is set up to be a washer and dryer unit, and this is a small stackable unit. I don't know how else you'd have access back here. So you definitely need access to this heater, especially with our intentions of draining it down in the wintertime and be completely, you know, run no heat. So we did discover this winter that a heat pump furnace is not adequate for heating the space. They don't heat very well, and they run constantly, way more than an air conditioning unit would do. So it's much cheaper to air condition the cabin than it is to heat the cabin. So we're just going to drain it down in the winter and leave in the winter. Because when we were here, we ran the propane heater, and it was much better. You turned it off at night, you turned it back on in the morning, and it heated up the cabin pretty quickly. And you had more control over it. Yeah, everything is dusty. It's a dusty mess.
We'll be cleaning this for weeks to come. That's for sure.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, this was kind of a wrap-up. But I'll do another clip when we get the the dryer, stackable unit put back in here. And these need to go back.
I should have done that part first.
Probably, but I want to get this cleaned up. And then we'll show the final wrap-up on this project. Okay, this is our wrap-up video. So I'll turn some more lights on here so you can see better. Alright, we got the washer and dryer back into place. We got the door rehung. So that's normally how it is. And then you can kind of see the opening there, but I mean, it really doesn't matter. And then the main thing is we have access. We rehung this door so you can kind of see what it's going to look like. So from the bedroom, this is what you see. This is normally what we see. We don't typically open or close the door unless we're hanging something on the back of the door. This is the piece that came off of it. So for right now, we'll probably just stick it behind the door here until we get an idea about how to frame it and hinge it. That'll be probably another project. But here's the hole opening. You can see how far now the washer and dryer come back, and we've connected everything back up. And so even if we had wanted to shrink this a little bit to give us more picture, you would have been really tight getting in behind this dryer. So I think the hole's the right size, and it's really the only place you could put it and it not intrude onto your living space. The living room side wouldn't have been good because you have plumbing in here, you have high voltage electric, you got more plumbing, so you really couldn't go into that wall very easily at all. this was really the only option. As you can see now, you can get all the way in here. I'll go ahead and step in. Now I'm standing inside here, and now I have access to everything. And I can step out. I can get to the hot water heater. I can get to the back of this if I need to. I can get to these emergency shutoffs if I need to, or the emergency shutoff for the hot water heater. The main thing is now I can drain it right down there. I'll hook a hose to it and just run it out the front door. So yeah, we're all ready to do business. Still breathing a lot of drywall dust.
On the cleaning crew. I might have mentioned how handy these fans come in every time we have to do something.
Yeah, I had the fan running too. And it was kind of blowing the dust around, but it was so hot.
Oh, this is going to take weeks for all this to settle and be clean. I've cleaned this top of this dresser at least 3 times, and it keeps settling and settling. Ooh.
Yeah, I'm getting ready to take a shower just
see the
to
supervisor
clean
here?
myself.
That's who supervised this job.
There's the supervisor. Little Jesus.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's dusty too. I was going to say, wow.
Goodness. I'm going to be cleaning in here for a while.
Yeah. And
job security.
Yeah, we've already mopped this floor. You can see there's dust on this wood. So we'll probably sponge mop that with, by hand. It'll keep settling, and we'll just have to keep on cleaning. We've mopped this floor here like 3 or 4 times. And we'll keep mopping it because I keep tracking it in as I'm putting tools away. I keep tracking the floor up. And then right here I got the broom, dustpan, I got the trash by the door. So we're continuing to clean up, but the project is pretty much done to the point that we can get to what we need to get to. And
that's a huge deal, getting these things done before we hit the road.
Yeah, so hanging that picture wall back up there and putting it on a hinge, that would be nice if that'll work. I still need to think about that. Maybe watch some YouTube videos and see if anybody else has done a drywall door.
It'll be nice, just frame it out and stick it back up there, but I'm glad that you can't really tell when the door's open that anything has been done to it. It's still a beautiful picture.
Yeah.
So, woohoo!
Yay!
Another big one down.
That's a big one. Well, thanks for your help there, Madam Mayor and Madam Cleaning Lady. Catch you on the next adventure.